Is it just me, or has there been a sudden surge of Bluey content everywhere? Everywhere. My TikTok has just been flooded with top 10 Bluey episodes that made me cry, out of context Bluey moments, and music edits of the dead. I guess. And of course, the often commented Bluey fans are the new Bronies. Now, I've never heard of Bluey until a few days ago, and you better believe that anything that receives a comparison and reputation of the My Little Pony degenerates, it's worth my time to look into it. So I've been a long-time fan of MLP. Honestly, the furthest I've gotten into the fandom was keeping up with monthly Fanimations, and my favorite, creating an OC with an intricate storyline in my head. So I'm very curious to see how these two shows compare, and more importantly, how the fans compare. So I did a bit of research, and I found that Bluey is an Australian animation series created by Joe Brumm and developed by Ludo Studio. It was originally aired on ABC in 2018, and it made its way to the US and aired on Disney Junior, where later it was added to Disney Plus to be shown internationally. Now this man Joe Brumm, he made a series that boomed. I mean, it was victorious. It took the world by storm. Not only did it make Australians proud to be Australians, they were the home of a national treasure, but it also became a magnet to the rest of the world. Its charm, its relatableness, its wittiness, it was just refreshing. Joe took inspiration from Peppa Pig, but he wanted to add a, quote, undeniable Aussie flavor. The story surrounds the Healer family, with siblings 6-year-old Bluey and 4-year-old Bingo, along with mom Chili and dad Bandit. It features an episodic take on the family's day-to-day life, with each episode having its own lessons, adventures, and obstacles. Joe Brumm was driven to mirror his own life with his kids, saying, "When it came time to write the show, was I spending a lot of time early morning playing with my kid, and a lot of games would be mainly role-playing games. They would be a cafe owner, and I would be the customer, or I'd be the patient, and they'd be the doctor, or I'd be a kid and they'd have to put me to bed, or vice versa." So like, I'm wondering, why haven't I heard of this show? Why haven't I watched it? I figured back when I first learned about MLP, when I was cringing at the fact that the adults were attracted to it. So I watched it. First watching it as a 15-year-old, episode 1 had me cringing at the fact that I was watching a kids show, just to find myself feeling less and less weird about it, and actually looking forward to each episode. Now, like, 4 years later, I found myself contemplating life once it ended. I mean, like, I was in shock. So what do I do when another show pops up on my TikTok feed, claiming that adults are glued to their chair watching it, blah, blah, blah? Of course I'm gonna watch it. I'm trying to relive that MLP experience all over again with a fresh show. Now this thing is a whole 52 episodes just in season 1, which isn't too bad considering each episode is about 7 to 8 minutes long. It wasn't too bad. I watched a few episodes of season 1, and honestly I could see myself finishing it just with a few episodes I watched. I can understand, like, I can see why people would like this. I see the appeal. I dug a little bit more. I'm like, okay, like, why do other people like it? I read about a lot of parents sitting down to watch it with their kids, and they find themselves glued to their couch as each episode plays. There's lessons in each episode, both for the kids and the parents. And I even read about a lot of parents replicating the lessons they learned from each episode. The characters aren't dumbed down or annoying. It doesn't necessarily follow the stereotypical family roles. It doesn't dumb down this joke or hold the viewer's hand to explain why a joke is funny. Basically, it doesn't drive the parents crazy. It has like really deep moments that feel like slice of life anime, with heavy topics like, surprisingly, miscarriage, Bluey being the rainbow baby, death, and vasectomies.
Look, I'm keen to get it done, but Chili, she wants to keep her options open, but I don't know. Do we want any more of these things running around?
You know, it's a feel-good show where you can sit down after a long day of work and decompress with some happy tunes, a happy, healthy family, some humor sprinkled into it. And I mean, look at these Google ratings, like 1,297 reviews. People with and without kids enjoying it. People in their 20s, 30s, 40s, teenagers. I mean, Joe Brumm was a genius in writing this. Like you got 50-year-olds watching this. That's crazy. So as far as I can tell, each Bluey episode has its own standalone plot, whereas MLP actually has an overall plot with each season opening and finale, and features more action and a story that connects the rest of the season. Both shows feature character development, where every lesson refines their personality and their skills. Honestly, the characters in both shows are like really well written. Parents relate to Chili and Bandit. They appreciate the realistic approach on the family dynamic, and I, along with a lot of people, appreciate Bandit not being thrown into the, you know, dumb dad stereotype. They also feature unique scores and music. The audience often find themselves singing along to the lyric, downloading songs. And I mean, for God's sakes, there is a 10-minute loop video of the opening of the Bluey song with 10 million views. The animation itself is satisfying. As I like to call it, it's eye candy. It's colorful, it's detailed, it's polished. Now, there's a presence of fan-made material such as fan art, fan animation, edits, OCs with both fandoms, although I would say MLP kind of overshadows Bluey in that aspect. It's been out for way longer than Bluey has. Like I said, I was really into the MLP fanimations. I'm sure many MLP fans are very familiar with popular fan animations, some that are iconic and still brought up often by the community. And me. And there's talented artists that have made pretty recent Bluey animations. Artists such as Tataru Animations and Tangle Space. Both communities gather to discuss the joys of the show, their favorite characters, how it inspires them to be better people, and how the characters reminds them of a loved one, how it teaches them that rough times will produce hope, how it teaches them to never give up, how to build friendships, and to learn patience and kindness. It takes a well-written show to have that ability to bring people together for wholesome association. And then you have your degenerates. So, how did this cartoon-watching adult phenomenon begin? What draws the black sheeps into the community? In order to talk about that, we need to bring up the thing that started it all. So MLP was first aired in October 2010, which makes it about 12 years old. Around the time it aired was the rise of 4chan. Well, not the rise, more specifically, its drastic increase in unique visitors. According to the Daily Dot, between 2009 and 2011, 4chan grew from 5 million monthly unique visitors to 10 million. Now, out of that growth in numbers, we don't know how many were Bronies, but we can assume a good amount flocked there to share their unique interests. With MLP being smack dab in the middle of that growth, it only makes sense that these unique visitors cook up and marinate in their specific, unique pony interests. And as classic 4chan users are, their anonymous status only enabled them to go all the way. All the way. The idea of older men and adults in general liking the show targeted towards preschoolers, or in the case of MLP, young girls, it was novelty, unprecedented, no one expected it. It's safe to say that MLP pioneered that concept, and over time throughout the 2010s, it became more acceptable, even normalized. So when you have a new show made for preschoolers come out, almost a decade later, it's safe to say that adults aren't as stigmatized for enjoying it, thus the Bluey fans today. We also have to mention that from the outside, all fandoms are weird. From the outside, people are more likely to see the worst of it. The cringe, the degeneracy. I mean, we have things like anime fans, Naruto, My Hero. We have things like Doctor Who, or Steven Universe. But from the inside of the fandom, a good percentage are normal fans. They're passionate, they're fun, and well, they're normal. Another percentage is what people would deem cringe fans. And then the smallest percentage are the worst of the worst. Now I have to like draw a graph for it just to visualize. Are you at the door? Now for Bluey, I actually mostly see people defending the show more than anything. It's either that or it's actually pretty wholesome. Once again, those Google reviews with the 1200 plus reviews I brought up earlier. I actually genuinely enjoyed reading each person's take on Bluey and how it's helped them. Along with the Google reviews, we have Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. It's been nothing but positive reviews, a positive representation of the Bluey fandom. Sure, Bluey isn't an exception to the lack of mercy of the internet, but to say Bluey fans are the new Bronies, I have to disagree. I mean, for crying out loud, in comparison, MLP, just think about it. There's gore, there's war, there's corn, and so much more. someone even committed a murder to get with her fictional cartoon pony. And you know what's crazy? Even 4chan users defend and adore Bluey. They genuinely shut down negativity. It's funny to see. I mean, I feel like Joe Brum, I feel like you know you've made it when you even have 4chan users defending your work, defending the show, defending the characters. Like, that is insane. 4chan, just think about it. So with Bluey coming out in 2018, it obviously hasn't been out as long as MLP. But despite this, I do see the unfortunate potential to become what we don't want it to become. Almost like history repeating itself. But for now, we can only hope it doesn't. You know, at first I compared Bluey to Steven Universe in terms of the fandom, but the more I sat down and thought about it, I was like, absolutely not. If you search on Google Images and set a timer, you'd probably find some NSFW in like 6 seconds or 3 seconds or something. So I would probably compare it to something like Gumball. Granted, I haven't really seen Gumball, and I'm not really familiar with its fan base, but I don't know, from what I've seen, pretty wholesome, pretty funny. I mostly put it on to fall asleep too. I also came up with this video idea like 2 days ago. There's always been an interest in starting a YouTube channel, but you know, it's an interest that's always faded. I don't know why I just randomly thought, hey, I should make a YouTube video about this. And I like talking, you know, I love docuseries, I love I like commentaries, and I've watched enough to where I'm like, oh, if I were to make my own, I'd word it like this, this, and this, and I would put these images, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.